So we're gonna be doing a video regarding how I really feel about basically all the childhood businesses that have gone under that I grew up going to. Um, so we're gonna start with my all-time favorite, which is Toys R Us. I mean, Jeffrey the Giraffe. The commercials were so iconic. They were so amazing. Um, what kid in the 80s and 90s did not go to Toys R Us and just be thrilled to go in the store and look around at all the cool stuff, and try out the bikes and the little jeeps that ran on basically garage batteries. Um, so now in 2005, Toys R Us, after the 80s and 90s, basically, of having all this success that they had, um, filed for their first bankruptcy, basically. I thought at that point in time, Toys R Us was going to basically be going out of business then. What ended up happening was there was a third party investment company that came in, took that debt from Toys R Us, and then kept it going. Um, at that point in time, Toys R Us was hurting really bad in investing, uh, horribly throughout the early 2000s. Toys R Us had some really bad, gambles as far as, internationally with their products, um, and letting bad business deals go through. Um, so back then, basically, this third party investment company comes in, um, goes ahead and basically says, okay, we claim your debt. We'll help you pay this off, but eventually we're going to own your company. So as time went on, and by the time of 2000 and I believe it was 17 or 18, at that point in time, they officially filed for bankruptcy because they had lost all of their profits over the last, 8 years at that point in time. So the people that had these exclusive VIP accounts with Toys R Us had to use their, coupons or their accounts, basically, within the course of 34 days of that foreclosure. Um, so it was just sad because I grew up with Toys R Us as a kid, and that was just, you know, my fun experience of being a kid. It was just going to Toys R Us and enjoying all the cool stuff that they had. And some people say Amazon had a lot to do with Toys R Us, having issues. Because Toys R Us also had their own online website. Not too many people realize that. And Babies R Us as well, which was the toddler store where they would sell clothing, and children's stuff. Um, but am glad that I looked up recently that some places are actually trying to reopen Toys R Us's under a different trademark. Um, no Jeffrey the Giraffe, unfortunately. I think that they actually took that away. Um, so we'll move on to that, to something that recently I heard that 300 Pizza Huts are going to be closing, actually. Um, Again, Pizza Hut was another company that, throughout the 80s and 90s, the commercials were everywhere. Celebrities were, endorsing them. Companies like Nickelodeon, Disney were offering products with in in dining at the restaurants. Pizza Hut was always reinventing themselves with each generation, um, and that's sad too because Pizza Hut was a really awesome hangout spot for people and families. And if that completely goes away, that will be really, really sad as well. Um, so I wasn't happy to hear that, honestly. It's just a different time now, but so we'll move on to that, to another business, Chuck E. Cheese, which actually not too many people realize this, but one of the original creators of Atari came up with the idea for Chuck E. Cheese. Um, and so that started, I believe, in the early 70s. Um, what I really remember about Chuck E. Cheese is the entertainment aspect. When you went into that place, they had arcade games everywhere. Um, and the pizza was not bad. It was reasonable. You could have really awesome, kid birthday parties and gatherings. It was just a really fun place to hang out as a kid. Mostly because it was really reasonable and you could meet up with your friends and hang out at the arcades. Um, and then we'll move on to, a place like Payless. Payless was one of the largest conglomerate shoe companies that carried just about anything, um, throughout their whole history. They were reasonable as far as pricing. It was a fun store to just go in and look around because of all the different styles of shoes you could get when you were, growing up. Um, I remember the customer service was really nice. So we'll move on that from that to another store that recently has had financial issues, and that's Sears. Sears, my mom has told me when I was growing up that Sears was always a huge conglomerate. Everybody would order from the Sears catalog throughout the 60s, 70s, even early 80s. I think even to the mid 90s, up until about 2004, 5, I think. And then they kind of did away with some of that to where it was online. Um, but Sears was always another company that really provided a lot of utility devices for anything from mowers to treadmills, clothing. They even had electronics department that sold like video game consoles and TVs, stereos, music equipment, guitars, keyboards, everything. Clothing wise for men and women and kids. It was just a really cool place to walk around and look at stuff. I spent a lot of time when I was growing up as a teenager shopping at Sears with my family. Um, those are just a few things I wanted to point out. That we live in a different time now, unfortunately, and you're going to see a lot more of these companies going under. I'm surprised J.C. Penney's is still around. Um, I was also going to mention that Marshall Fields was another one that had financial issues that went under. Um, but I just wanted to point, things out that it was just easier when you were growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s as a kid because you had so much diversity of places you could go. Like malls were a little bit more, they had more nostalgia stuff to it. They had arcades. They had, movie theaters. It was for everybody. Um, and I'm seeing more and more now that because of this coronavirus that um, this has all basically just completely changed our society. And I mean, there's movie theaters that have been going under as well, including AMC and some of the other corporations have had to file for bankruptcy because they cannot reopen their movie theaters. Um, so I just wanted to point out a few things that um, those are just a few places that I grew up going to that I'm gonna really miss hanging out at, and I just wanted to do a video about all this. So